In this episode of True Crime Black, we look at a tumultuous situation in Kansas City, Missouri. Recently, there were claims that black women specifically were going missing along Prospect Avenue. The Kansas City Police Department, however, denied that this was valid. Then, they were proven wrong when a victim escaped her would-be killer. Now, black community members have taken it upon themselves to get the word out there. They have created their own missing persons databases, among other resources, to help find these individuals. With that said, let's get started. It was at the beginning of the year 2021 when JoAnn Stovall last saw her granddaughter, Samone Jackson. For some listening, that might not seem like a long time. But to anyone who has dealt with a missing family member, any amount of time can feel like an eternity. Samone Jackson had been close with her grandmother for the majority of her life. When she was just 5 years old, she was practically being raised by Stovall. Upon graduating high school, Samone made the change and moved in with her grandmother officially. When Samone reached her mid-20s, she moved into an apartment with her boyfriend and 2 roommates. Her grandfather, who helped make the move, remembers that as being the last time he ever saw her. "He hasn't seen her for a year," Stovall said. Stovall also mentioned something unsettling. She remarked that, after Samone had gone missing, her grandfather began receiving text messages from her phone. To them, someone was obviously using it and posing as Samone in an attempt to prevent any sort of investigation from happening. According to Stovall, however, Samone's grandfather was not fooled by this for a second. "He can tell immediately it wasn't Samone because of the way she texts," Stovall said. As is customary with families facing the reality of a missing loved one, speaking with the people close to them is used as a way of gathering information as to what may have happened. In this case though, that was a difficult task to say the least. Samone's boyfriend is still living in the apartment that they had moved into together. Strangely, he has prevented Samone's family from being able to make any sort of direct contact with him. You would think that a significant other would want to be there for the family of the person with whom they are in a relationship, especially if they're also invested in figuring out what happened. It would seem that this wasn't the case. And that wouldn't be the only area where help was hard to come by. Samone's grandmother went to the police for help in finding her granddaughter. Sadly, though not uniquely, she remarked that their involvement was not as helpful as they had hoped. Once Stovall was able to get in contact with the local authorities, the police contacted Samone's boyfriend. During their conversation with him, they were told that the couple had broken up. For that reason, he expressed that he didn't want to be in touch with Samone's family. Oddly enough though, the police said that they were of the belief that Samone was fine. "They said she's okay. And so I don't think that they filed the missing report. It's like they closed the books on her because they said she's okay," Stovall said. The police told her that they are under no obligation to disclose the location of an adult. They also said that they are not obligated to return an adult to a residence just because they are asked to do so by their family members. This would give the impression that the police were not only sure that Samone was okay, but that they knew specifically where she was located. Stovall, unfortunately, is the only one not at ease with this information since she has no way of verifying if it is even true. She is still left worrying about the fate of her granddaughter. JoAnn Stovall's plight is just one story out of many more in Missouri. Back in October of 2022, a story happened that would briefly dominate the airwaves. A young black woman ran from a home in Excelsior Springs. More accurately, she escaped what was likely going to be a deadly fate. The house belonged to Timothy Haslett Jr. The woman accused Haslett of kidnapping her, sexually assaulting her, and repeatedly beating her over the course of several weeks. And she wasn't the only one who had become a victim of Haslett's. She said that he had already killed 2 women by the time she had escaped. Haslett is facing charges of first-degree rape, first-degree kidnapping, and second-degree assault. The Excelsior Springs Police Department has also been in the midst of conducting an investigation. They have enlisted the help of the Clay County Investigative Squad Task Force, the Clay County Sheriff's Office, and the Clay County Prosecutor's Office in this case. For some Black community members, these efforts are coming just a little too late. They felt that things may have been different if the police would have just listened to them. It turns out that, by the time the victim had escaped and made the police aware of what had happened to her, community leader Bishop Tony Caldwell had already been sounding the alarm. He made several reports to the local authorities about a serial killer targeting Black women in the area. He even pinpointed the location as being along the Prospect Avenue corridor. That would be the same exact area that the woman who escaped from Haslett's house said she was taken. A Black-owned publication called the Kansas City Defender aired a video from September of Bishop Caldwell voicing his concerns. The amplification of that video caused an uproar in the Black community of Kansas City, who took their concerns to the police. The Kansas City Police Department responded by saying that the claims being made by the bishop were completely unfounded. When the post alleging missing women was brought to our attention, we checked and there had been no reports made to our Department of Missing Persons, more specifically Black women, missing from Prospect Avenue in Kansas City, Missouri, a KCPD representative said in an email to a publication. This, of course, led to a lot of understandable anger in the Black community. The residents felt that they had gone to the police for help in dealing with an issue faced exclusively by them in this case, only to have their claims dismissed. They also felt that the local media took the side of the police, as is usually the case. Instead of giving credence to the concerns of the citizens, local media outlets tend to regurgitate the words of the police and then let them hang there as an indisputable fact. The talking point that they are using about this situation is that they don't have any missing persons files in their missing persons database that match up to any of the people who were taken from out there, when that's just kind of irrelevant to the entire situation, said Ryan Sorrell, founder of the Kansas City Defender. The woman who escaped, we had said that she had been taken from Prospect, and she also said she had been taken from Prospect even though she did not have a missing persons report filed in her name. It's not about whether or not people have a missing persons report. It's about our people in the community saying that people are missing and why are the police not looking into them, he said emphatically. Sorrell is now working on creating a missing persons database. Along with a team of software engineers, database engineers, and web designers, he is hoping to tackle this issue head-on. As of last December, Sorrell says that he is about halfway done. The point of significance for them at this time is to figure out a way to verify missing persons reports without having to use the data presented by the police. Bishop Caldwell is also doing what is within his power to address this issue. Caldwell is working in conjunction with the Justice and Dignity Center Coalition on building up a functioning missing persons database. The Justice and Dignity Center Coalition is a group of advocates, social workers, and community leaders who work with underserved and disenfranchised communities in the area. The plan is for the database to contain information on missing individuals, as well as the general whereabouts and information of homeless individuals in the community. This is in service of being able to help locate them should they ever go missing. Churches, agencies, and shelters will have immediate access to this database once it is completed. Bishop Caldwell said that he has reached out to the police, but has not heard back from them about collaborating on the database. Caldwell is also helping to locate Samone Jackson. Black women and girls are at high risk of going under the radar of police, policymakers, and media, despite facing a disproportionate amount of violence, including domestic violence, sex trafficking, and police brutality. In November, a local group hosted a Black and Missing community discussion to encourage conversation among community members, those with missing family members, advocates, and police officers. The group then created a computer folder of resources for those looking for a missing individual and will continue to host events around this topic. For JoAnn Stovall, any resource would be welcomed if it helps to find her granddaughter. I just want her to be found. I want her to be okay. It's okay if she doesn't want to be bothered with us, but I love her. To this day, Samone Jackson is still missing.